Hello everybody. So it's been 2 years since we have gotten a Marvel movie. It's been over a year since we were supposed to get this movie, Black Widow. And so, basically what I'm saying here is, we've been waiting a long time for this movie, and it is finally here, so let's talk about Black Widow. So first, in case you haven't seen the movie, I'm going to give a quick non-spoiler review of it. Then I'm going to get into some spoilers, specifics. I won't really do like a walkthrough of it, but I'll just kind of give like specifics and go more in depth of kind of what I say in the non-spoiler review. And then I'll give some predictions for where I think, what I think this means for the future of the MCU. But first, I'm going to give a non-spoiler review of the movie, and I thought it was great. I would definitely recommend it. It gives you everything you want from a Marvel movie, and I think the best I can describe it is it was kind of like Jason Bourne and Mission Impossible meets MCU Black Widow, and so that's kind of the feeling I got from it. It kind of reminded me a little bit of, the Jason Bourne movies, a little bit of Mission Impossible, and of course, it's set in the MCU, starring Black Widow, or starring Scarlett Johansson, playing Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff. We get some of her backstory a little bit. It's just cool to see this character who we've seen for 10 years finally get her own movie, her own standalone movie, and kind of just explore her character more than we were able to before. It touches on some real world stuff, some interesting themes of control, who's on top, who's controlling others, and also family. It has a theme of family, what kind of family means. Sorry, I just thought about the Fast and the Furious Dom memes, Vin Diesel memes. Moving on. And overall, it was a very enjoyable film. I loved it. It seemed a bit episodic, and I kind of think that maybe it could have worked as a Disney Plus show a little bit better. I'll get into more of that later in the video, but I think that it seemed a little episodic, so I think it could have been a Disney Plus show rather than a movie, but I still think it worked well as a movie. I think the villain of Taskmaster was underused a bit. I think that this could have went a little bit further with Taskmaster, of having this character who can analyze the fighting pattern and replicate the fighting pattern of person that they're fighting. I think that there's a lot to be explored there that I think wasn't really explored as much as it could have in this film, but that's really my only complaint about it. Overall, I really enjoyed it, and I would definitely recommend it, especially if you're an MCU fan. I mean, you probably already saw it, so it was good. I enjoyed it, and I would definitely give it a thumbs up. But that's all I have to say in my non-spoiler review, so now I'm going to go into my spoiler review, and I'll start out talking about the beginning, the flashback we get at the beginning. That's kind of like the setup for the movie, and I think that was really good of setting up, the family, Natasha's family in Ohio, what we find out is like the cover family, the fake family. We see them at first just together eating dinner, and then it quickly goes into they need to go on the run. They they need to leave. They need to get to this plane and fly off, and then Natasha and her sister Elena get captured and taken to the Red Room. Or I guess they're not really captured, but they're kind of given up by their parents and taken to the Red Room, and we get the in the opening credits kind of seeing like them becoming assassins, and with the whole uh, widow program is. And so I do think that they could have done a little bit more with that. Um, they could have shown Natasha's backstory a little bit more. I think that having it in this opening credits thing, it sort of felt like the way they did Hulk's origin in The Incredible Hulk, where it's like, okay, I see what's happening pretty much. I get like a pretty good idea of what happened, and of course with Hulk's origin, it's a pretty famous origin, so you don't really need like too much to be told to you. So you kind of get like the basic idea, but you're also like, I wish they showed Hulk's origin. Like they spent some time in the movie to really show his origin. That's kind of how I felt about this. I wish they actually showed some stuff happening in the Red Room, and Natasha becoming an assassin and stuff. I mean, I know we got to see it a little bit in Age of Ultron, in the vision that Wanda gave her, but they could have showed a little bit more of that to give us a better idea of what that was, and like the real horrors of it, instead of just showing it in the opening sequence and like, all right, I get the gist of it, but I still don't completely know like what Black Widow's origin is completely. So, yeah, so I just wish they went a little bit further with that. But I'll move on to talk about the family aspect of this, and I think they really did a good job with that, again, of like showing like, even though the family was fake, even though it was just kind of a cover just for like their mission, they needed to kind of have this cover identity of this family. But even though it was fake, they still felt like it was real, and they still had this connection of a family, even though I guess none of them are actually, biologically related. They all feel like a family together, and so I like that aspect of it, of showing, again, this family that started out fake, but ended up being real, and they ended up really caring about each other, and Natasha and Elena really felt like sisters, and Alexei and Melina actually felt like their parents, and so, I thought that was cool. I like that they, really showed that in this movie, and the other theme they have, as mentioned, is control, um, specifically kind of how, in this world, men have controlled women, and in this movie, it's like a really extreme example, like literally controlling them. Like Dracove is really, literally controlling the widows, and of course that's a really like exaggerated, extreme version of what happens in the real world, where it's not literal mind control, but maybe more of like blackmail or rape or other things like that. And so I like that they kind of were able to like touch on some real world issues in this very like, again, extreme case, and superhero movie case. So yeah, so they're able to, I like that they're able to kind of touch on that a bit. So what's the next day? I realized while editing that I forgot to mention some stuff that I meant to talk about, and so I came back to record that and kind of add this in at this point in the video. And what I want to talk about is Alexei, the Red Guardian, and Yelena, because I know I'm not the first person to say this. Pretty much anybody who's reviewed this movie has said Alexei and Yelena are both the standouts of the movie. In some ways, kind of taking the spotlight away from Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, which in a way is kind of sad. Like, we've been waiting so long for a Black Widow movie, and it ends up kind of being more of a Yelena movie and Red Guardian, Alexei movie. And so, in a way, it's sad, but also it's like, we still get a lot of Black Widow, and, they were fun characters. Like, I really enjoyed both of their characters. So it's kind of like this weird, kind of like bittersweet thing where it's like these are great characters, and I'm glad they were introduced, and I hope they're, going to continue to be characters like in other MCU projects. But at the same time, it's like Black Widow was kind of on the back burner for a lot of it. So it's a weird scenario. But first, I'll talk about Yelena, and yeah, she was hilarious. Just the way she delivered a lot of lines, and the whole bit where she's making fun of the pose that Black Widow makes, and the hair flip thing. That was hilarious. that whole bit, and how that was like a running joke throughout it. Where like she says it the first time where they're in like the gas station, and then they say it again when they're breaking Alexei out of prison. And Natasha does the pose, and then later Elena falls through the vents and does the pose, and she's like, that was weird. So that bit throughout it was that was fun, and just a lot of the lines that Elena said were just hilarious. Where she's like, where there's the car chase in Budapest, and when they're running from Taskmaster, and she's like, what do you want me to unsteal the car? There's like that stuff throughout the movie that's really those like fun lines. Like also where they're breaking Alexei out of prison, and there's the whole avalanche, and she's like, yeah, this would be a pretty cool way to die. Like, just, yeah. Elena was great, with the humor side, and also showing like how she viewed the family, how like since she was taken and like put in this family at such a young age, that's all she knew. Like, she didn't know at all that the family wasn't real. Like, she thought that they were actual parents, and Natasha was her actual sister, and it's so interesting to see, like, she believed it was real, and how, everybody else was like, no, this was just a fake thing, like, this was just the mission, but to her, that was her family, and when she was taken to the Red Room, she was not being taken by this fake family that was just for a mission. She was being taken from her family. That's the way she viewed it. And so, I thought that was very interesting to see the different perspectives of the family and how hers was, so different from everybody else's. You see Alexei as the Red Guardian, where he viewed it as, it was just the mission, and he didn't really care, like, he didn't really, see when they were taken that, to the Red Room, that, like, that was a bad thing. It was just like, yeah, we did the mission, you're going on to do your, the next mission you have to do, I'm going off to continue to be the Red Guardian, which I wish that we got some more of him being, like, the Red Guardian in his prime in, in the 90s and 1995. I wish there was, like, a way they fit in a scene at the beginning of him running around actually being the Red Guardian, and then I think that may have made the joke later where he's, putting he's trying to put the suit back on, and, he's obviously gained a lot of weight since then, and, I think that may have made it a lot funnier. Of course, it was funny anyway, but I think that, I think seeing him wearing it in his prime, again, in 1995, that would have been cool to kind of set this joke up a little bit more, because you really don't get a lot of him as the Red Guardian. He just puts the costume on, and then, we just see him fighting Taskmaster in, the Red Room at the end in, like, the final battle for a little bit. But we don't really get, like, that much of him being the Red Guardian, so I wish that we'd gotten to see a little bit more of that. And yeah, so that's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to mention those two things that I had forgotten to. Again, I'm not, like, the first person to say this. Obviously, again, everybody who's reviewed this has said Yelena and Alexei are the two standouts, the two kind of stars of it, and they kind of take the spotlight away from Natasha. So yeah, I really enjoyed both of them, and let's get back to the rest of the video. But moving on to our villain, Taskmaster, or I guess not really our villain, but who appears to be our villain. And this also kind of relates to the, theme of control, where Dreykov is controlling his daughter. I think because of that, because Taskmaster is Dreykov's daughter who is under his control, that kind of makes it so, this character Taskmaster gets underused because Taskmaster isn't actually the villain. It's Dreykov controlling her. And so you don't really get a lot of, the cool stuff that you'd think, like I said in my non-spoiler portion, of having this villain who can replicate the moves, the fighting style of whoever they're fighting. You don't really get a lot of the cool stuff that they could have done with that because she's not actually the villain. That was kind of disappointing. I know a lot of the theories about what was going to happen in this movie kind of, revolved around some kind of plot line where Natasha and Elena switched places. So, because they have such similar fighting styles, which is even shown when both characters are first introduced, in the present day. They have a fight and they are very evenly matched and, doing very similar, having a very similar fighting technique. And so it seemed like that it was going towards, some scenario where Natasha and Elena switch places to trick Taskmaster, and Taskmaster would be fighting Natasha, but it would really be Elena, and that would be kind of how they would take him, or him down, because we thought it was going to be a him, but it just seemed like that they were going to go down some kind of scenario like that, but they just didn't. I mean, they had Natasha and her mother, Melina, switch places, but it wasn't as oh, we're gonna trick Taskmaster. It was, we're gonna trick Dreykov. And so it seemed like that they could have went so much further with Taskmaster to do stuff like that, but they just didn't, and kind of inherently because Taskmaster is Dreykov's daughter who's being mind controlled by him, so there's not Taskmaster isn't having this ultimate plan. She's just under mind control. So, again, that was a bit disappointing. I do like that she was kind of created by Black Widow in a way. She was kind of created by Natasha in a way, because Natasha tried to kill Dreykov by, blowing up the building that she was in, that Dreykov's daughter was in, and that was part of her initiation into S.H.I.E.L.D. But in doing that, she, created this scenario where, the daughter is hurt, and then Dreykov has to put the chip in her neck that allows her to analyze the moves of people she's fighting and replicate them. And so, that's cool. I like when the heroes create their own villains. I do feel like that we needed to go back to that flashback when Natasha blows up the building to kind of explain how Dreykov and his daughter survived. Especially how Dreykov survived, because at least his daughter, her face is messed up, and obviously she had enough damage done to her that she needed to have the chip put in her neck for her to survive. But Dreykov, he seems to be unharmed. It's not like he's missing a limb or anything. It's just, he seemed to have gotten out of that perfectly fine, which is I feel like we needed a bit of an explanation for how he survived that. Instead, they're just kind of he did. There you go. He did. That's what's happening, and we don't get an explanation. So I wish that they revisited that flashback to explain how they both survived. And one other thing that I want to talk about is the final battle. I think that it may have been a bit too big, a bit too grand. I think that, having this base floating in the sky that explodes, and then you have Black Widow fighting Taskmaster as they're free falling and landing on various pieces of debris, and they're fighting each other, and it's this big thing. The base is falling apart all around them. It feels a little bit too big, too grand for a Black Widow movie. It seems like this could work a lot better in like Spider-Man movie, Captain Marvel movie, Thor movie. Like this kind of what you expect from that. But having a Black Widow movie, it's like to have this big thing where again Black Widow's fighting Taskmaster in this free fall, and this big thing. It just felt a little bit too big, too crazy for a Black Widow movie that I think would have really benefited a lot more from a much smaller scale thing. I still enjoyed it. I still think that this was a really cool final battle to have, this whole thing where Black Widow is falling through the sky fighting Taskmaster. Like, that looks awesome, but it just seems a little too much for a Black Widow movie. There's even some moments where, because, you're doing this big, crazy thing that you can't really have Scarlett Johansson be doing, or even a stunt double be doing, you have to have CGI, for Iron Man, who's completely, the suit is completely CGI, you can do something like that, but with Black Widow, where, her head is exposed, and you have to CGI her hair and her face and everything, I feel like it didn't look, it didn't look 100% a few times, and so, I just think that they may have went too big with the final battle, and it would have benefited from a more smaller scale thing. And now I want to move on and talk about the post-credit scene. So, Elena goes to Natasha's grave, and, she has the whistle thing that, they did throughout the movie. And then Elaine from Seinfeld, Madame Hydra shows up, and I guess Elena had been working for her, and Madame Hydra is like, hey, if you want to get revenge on the person who's responsible for your sister's death, you gotta go after this guy. And she shows her a picture of Hawkeye, and so I guess this is kind of setting up the Hawkeye show later this year. I guess Elena's gonna be, sort of, maybe not the villain, but like, at least for a portion of it, be an antagonistic character trying to go after Clint. And so, that's cool. I like that. They're setting that up. It seems like a really cool concept to have Elena going after Hawkeye, especially since we know, like, Clint and Natasha have such a good relationship, have such a good friendship with each other, and so to have Natasha's sister be going after Clint, trying to kill Clint, that's a very interesting thing to have happen, and so I'm very excited for that to go down. And also, it's interesting to think, like, this was supposed to be the start of Phase 4. Like, we obviously, since everything got messed up, WandaVision ended up being the start of Phase 4. We've gotten WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and 5 episodes of Loki. And so, it's interesting to think, like, if everything went according to plan, Black Widow would have been the definitive start of Phase 4. Like, of course, like, in terms of movies, yeah, Black Widow's the first movie in Phase 4. But if you're taking everything into account, Black Widow is the fourth thing in Phase 4, where it was supposed to be the immediate first thing, and this post-credit scene was supposed to introduce Madam Hydra, and now Madam Hydra got already introduced in Falcon and Winter Soldier. So basically, what I'm saying is Madam Hydra is definitely a major player in the MCU. Phase 4. She's definitely like the new Nick Fury, or like the evil Nick Fury, trying to get this team together, this evil team together. She got John Walker, U.S. agent in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and now she has Yelena. They're planning something. There's something big coming. Maybe in the next Avengers film, we're gonna get, the Avengers led by Sam Wilson as Captain America versus this team that Elaine from Seinfeld is putting together. It seems like there's going to be some really cool stuff happening in the next few years in the MCU, so I'm excited. I'm excited for where things are going, and I think that this post-credit scene was really good. I guess I went into some predictions there already, so that's all the predictions I had. So that's my prediction section of the video. I already did it, and now I want to move on to going more into depth with something I said earlier, where I think that this movie may have worked better as a Disney Plus show, because it did seem a bit episodic to me, and I think that, could just be because the only Marvel content I've gotten in 2 years has been the Disney Plus shows, or maybe I'm more accustomed to that format of experiencing MCU content, but I still feel like this could have worked very well as a Disney Plus show where they had flashbacks throughout it, kind of showing more of Black Widow's origin, her in the Red Room, and, showing that more. Maybe doing, sort of like what they did on Arrow for the first 5 seasons, of having, the flashbacks each episode, and you have, the 2 stories going on, where in the flashbacks, she gets taken by the Red Room, and you're building up towards, she's becoming an assassin, and then she meets Hawkeye, and then she takes the Red Room down, and then you have the present day stuff. The Red Room is still active. She thought she took it down, and she's going to, what we see in the movie is, taking down the Red Room again. And you kind of have the 2 stories going on, the present day stuff and the flashback stuff. And that way we could see a bit more of Black Widow's origin. I think that would have worked well, and the way I think I would have broken up each, the movie into episodes would be, first episode, everything from when we first see present day stuff, when Thunderbolt Ross is going after her, to the first battle with Taskmaster on the bridge. Then second episode, she goes to find Yelena. We get the chase with Taskmaster, and it ends with they're gonna go break Alexei out of prison. Third episode, breaking Alexei out of prison. Maybe it ends with they get to the house where the mother, Melina, lives. Fourth episode, family reunion, ends with them getting captured. We don't see them going up to the Red Room yet. We just see they all get captured, and then fifth episode starts. They're getting to the Red Room, and maybe it ends with the reveal of who Taskmaster is. The Taskmaster is the daughter, and then sixth episode is the rest of it. The rest of the movie, and, same post-credit scene. And so I think that it may have worked a little bit better that way, but again, it still works as a movie just fine. That's just kind of one idea I had, especially since we're very much in this Disney Plus streaming era. I think that it would have been interesting if they made this a Disney Plus show instead of a movie. But those are all my thoughts on Black Widow. It could have worked as a Disney Plus show, but it works just fine as a movie. It deals with some real-world issues in, an extreme superhero movie way, and I think it sets up Phase 4, some interesting stuff for Phase 4 to explore. That rhymed. Also, in the near future, I will be doing a ranking of all 24 Marvel movies, so stay tuned for that. That'll be coming in the next few days or next few weeks or, near future, so again, stay tuned for that. But anyway, please comment below your thoughts on Black Widow, and remember to give this video a like, consider subscribing to the channel, and maybe check out some of my other videos. And with that said, that's a wrap.